COEX systems. I've recently been exploring Stanislav Grof, and his stuff on COEX systems, which are systems of condensed experiences, and I've been really digging it. Generally, the idea is a COEX system is a collection of memories and experiences that all circle around some root experience that's based in infancy or childhood, or even in the process of the birth. And say this root childhood experience could be positive or negative. In the case of a negative, it's like a trauma, and that trauma has a certain emotional caliber to it, and there are certain psychological mechanisms employed at that moment to protect the infant or child from that trauma. And then throughout the course of the life, you start to have all these other experiences that are connected in a sense that they have the same like emotional caliber, and they imply the same psychological mechanisms to protect from that emotions. And then it works like a constellation, a COEX constellation, where you have all these different memories and experiences that are all circling around this root trauma, where the ones that are further out are the most superficial, and they're the ones that are most recent, based on most recent experiences of your life. And yeah, and then when you go into like a psychedelic experience, he talks about this in his book LSD, Doorway to the Numinous, and when you go into an LSD experience, you might tap the vein on one of these COEX systems and start to like progress into deeper and deeper layers of these of this COEX system until you get back to the root trauma, and then you have some sort of cathartic release, and you can change the way that COEX system is manifesting. Because over time, as this COEX system develops, by having repeated experiences that add to this this system, to add to this constellation, the cumulative emotional charge gets stronger. And the stronger the cumulative emotional charge, the stronger the psychological mechanisms employed to protect yourself from it are embedded in your personality. And so the more influence they have on your personality, and in a negative sense, on different pathologies that you might have. So now this is really interesting too, because then apparently the pain of having an emotional charge that, say, is associated to a COEX system that is incongruent with your outside experiences is also like really disturbing. So now that the ego has set up this strong psychological mechanism to protect you from the root trauma and to evade the emotions that are coming up, it also has to employ another defense mechanism to prevent you from the pain of having to deal with an incongruence between the emotional charge that you're not addressing and your outer experience. And so it starts to manipulate you, or unconsciously influence you to manipulate your outside surroundings and other people to play roles to create context to justify the emotional charge that's actually inspired by this root trauma developed throughout your life to be played out here in this moment right now. And you've basically created your reality to justify an emotional charge bred of a trauma from childhood, and you're increasingly perpetuating and permeating this trauma and emotional charge throughout your life because you haven't been able to go back and address the root, which he says you can do with LSD. Which I think you can too. Big. It's pretty decent.
Yes,
Yeah. Cut.